Meteorologist Tamara Berg with your morning forecast.
All right, Brian, as you take off on the roadways, you may notice that moon. It's beaming this morning for folks that are in the right spot to look at that moon getting ready to go down and the sun getting ready to rise just about an hour from now. Beautiful view as we've got clear skies to enjoy that moon delight for the morning. Temperatures are in the mid 50s right now at 54 degrees. We have skies that are clear and a light north wind just under 5 miles per hour. Moving along the next couple of hours in your Sacramento planner, we'll be into the upper 60s around 10 o'clock this morning, making our move back to the 80s eventually with daytime highs finishing out into the mid 80s. Right now, you'll notice in the foothills temperatures are up slightly as you have a bit more of that downslope flow. It's 57 in Auburn and Placerville, waking up to 58 degrees Modesto, and good morning Fairfield, looking at upper 50s as you head out that door around Travis Air Force Base. And the foothills planner for today will hit the mid 60s by 9 a.m. Plenty of sunshine and lower 70s by lunchtime with daytime highs in the upper 70s to about 80 degrees. Bigger changes start to unroll in the forecast by tomorrow. I'll break down what those changes are and who could see rain this weekend coming up. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Tamara. Well, new this morning, $6 gas is back in California. It's hard to even say it. Prices soared overnight, and now there are calls for the governor to take some action.
KCRA3's Mike DeSalle is joining us now, taking a look at just how much higher these prices are this morning.
Yeah, and good morning, and we're live at the Speedway gas station right off of West El Camino here off I-5. But no matter what gas station you stop at this morning to fill up, gas prices significantly more than just one day ago. How much more? Well, these are some snapshots of gas price signs throughout Sacramento that we got here in just the past 2 hours. The statewide average for a gallon of gas now surpassing $6 a gallon. Specifically in Sacramento and Stockton, what that means for you at the pumps, those prices went up 19 cents in just the last 24 hours. In Modesto, not as much, but still 16 cents a gallon. And back out here live, while those prices are up significantly in the past 24 hours, for what it is worth, here's one tidbit for some perspective. The statewide average for a gallon of gas today versus a year ago on this date are exactly the same. So it's expensive, but at least it's not out of the realm of normality. Live at the Speedway gas station, Mike DeSalle, KCRA 3 News.
Mike, thank you. That price hike is leading State Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher to call on the governor to order the fuel makers to switch to their winter blend now. Winter blend fuel is cheaper than the summer blend. Gallagher says that when the governor made the same order last year, gas prices dropped more than $1.25 a gallon in 2 days.
Well, more frustration for the city of Elk Grove over an affordable housing project that has triggered several lawsuits.
Hundreds of people showed up at a city council meeting to talk about that, and the developer did not. Now the mayor is sounding off about that, and KCRA 3's Erin Heft is joining us in Elk Grove with what she had to say.
Deirdre Teo, this is a very controversial topic here in Elk Grove. Now, this meeting was about the permanent supportive housing for those who were formerly homeless, but this meeting was much less productive than they hoped. Take a look at this video, this from last night, showing just how chock full those city council chambers really were of people with opinions over this housing project. Now, for context and background on the project, it's called the Oak Rose Apartment Project, and like I said, it's for those who were formerly homeless. The council voted the Oak Rose Apartment Project down last summer, but two separate lawsuits by both the developer and the state had it back before the council late last night for reconsideration. But that vote did not happen. It's now postponed after the developer of the project did not attend the meeting, which is something that the mayor called disappointing and disrespectful.
Of course, to negotiate and find a win-win with the developer and the state, but unfortunately, it's really has met with little to no response.
Most of the public comment during the city council meeting was really in the proximity as to where this project is proposed to be, which is in the historic downtown district of Elk Grove. In Elk Grove, Erin Heft, KCRA 3 News.
By the way, the meeting is scheduled for October 11th. Now, in a decision that was made by the City Council, they unanimously approved a proposal to open a winter shelter. City will partner with a group called the Gathering Inn to convert a former Rite Aid into a shelter. It's located on Elk Grove Boulevard at Waterman. The city already owns this building. Shelter will be open from November through the end of March. It will hold and provide services for up to 30 people. A shelter is only temporary because a new city library is set to be built here.
A Sacramento County jury has convicted a couple for a series of violent robberies. evidence. The jury found Roy Pacheco guilty of 13 counts of robbery and 1 felony firearms charge. Monica Lopez was convicted of 8 counts of robbery. Authorities did release surveillance video of those crimes in March 2019. And the court records show that over 3 days, the couple robbed 13 people at 6 different locations. Pacheco was armed during those robberies and fired the gun once. No one was shot. Pacheco is facing a possible life sentence, and Lopez is facing 19 years in prison. A convicted serial killer serving 2 life sentences in Stockton has died. John Getro died last week at the state health care facility in Stockton of natural causes. Getro was convicted in 2021 of raping and strangling 2 women near Stanford University 50 years ago. And DNA testing did lead him to both of those murders.
Well, this morning there are new protections for doctors and pharmacists who mail abortion pills to patients in other states. Governor Newsom signed the law preventing other states from prosecuting or fining those who legally provide protected health care. In addition to abortion pills, it will also protect medication that affirms a person's gender identity. The bill also bans state-based social media companies like Facebook from complying with out-of-state subpoenas to identify patients seeking abortion pills.
Tracy police now investigating anti-Semitic messages being left on people's lawns. Police say that someone left that propaganda in the front yards in dozens of homes, and they say that these could be related to a number of similar instances that have happened across the state. Anyone with information is urged to call the Tracy police. Well, frightening yet inspiring story out of Tracy this morning. An 8th grade girl suffered a heart attack in class, but was saved by some fast-acting adults.
Now, Mike Cherry joins us now to explain how this all played out, Mike.
Yeah, so this happened at Art Freeler School, which is a K through 8 school in Tracy. 13-year-old Heather Freely fell off her chair in class, hit the ground, and began to turn blue. That's when Principal Stephen Teal cleared out the classroom, had a student call 911. Then school resource officer Alex Contreras rushed in, began CPR until paramedics arrived. She was taken to the hospital, then airlifted to UCSF, then to the Children's Hospital where a breathing tube was inserted. But she's doing much better now. And her father, who's an Alameda County Sheriff's deputy, knows that the quick actions by the staff saved her life.
It was a village that came together to save her, and it's a village that's keeping us strong, and it's a village that's going to, get us through this.
In a lot of ways, students here are like my children, and I believe that. One of the things we say here, we talk about is being the Freeler family. And that's not just something that we say just because it sounds nice or it looks good on a post or anything like that. We say it because we mean it.
Now, while Heather is recovering, doctors are trying to determine exactly what happened. She's a healthy athlete who plays basketball and has no underlying medical conditions. And again, this is just another example, though, of how those portable defibrillators come into play and how important it can be to be trained up on the latest medical technology.
Sure. Yeah, or just knowing basic CPR, which teachers and schools, for the most part, have all learned, and now in a lot of workplaces, including ours, it's offered as well. Yeah.